Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining Steinel America's IS DCS micro webinar today. We have our product manager, Thurston Selby, presenting. Thurston?
Good morning. Thank you for joining this morning. We'd like to introduce you to 6 new products that we're now introducing for use with our DCS, our digital control solution. The DCS, as most of you are aware, is our main controller. There's 2 versions of it, one that has backnet capability and the other the standard controller. All of these devices work with both of those controllers, and they add new projects that we weren't able to do in the past. So the 6 new products, first, we're adding 2 new photo sensors. These photo sensors are wet location rated. They can be used both indoors or outdoors, and they're available in both white and black colors. This opens up the areas for us to be able to do parking garages, outdoor building perimeters, this sort of thing with the DCS controller. The sensors that we're adding, there are 4 new sensors and then a mounting bracket. The 4 new sensors, the IS 3180, it is a wall mount unit. I'll discuss more about it in a moment. It has a full 180-degree angle of view, and it's predominantly going to be used in building perimeters, parking garages, this sort of thing. The IS 345HB, the HB stands for high bay, and it is an aisle sensor. It can be mounted up to 50-foot mounting height. The IS 345 is also an aisle sensor. It's intended for use up to a 13-foot mounting height, so for low bay aisles. The IS 3360 is different in that it has a 360-degree view, but it can also be used in both low bay and a high bay selection. And then we have a mounting bracket. This mounting bracket fits to any of the ceiling mount sensors, so the 345s or the 3360, and it allows you to be able to mount directly to a fixture or to the side knockout on a junction box. IS 3360. This is the one that has the full 360-degree coverage pattern. And within the app that you use to program the DCS, you have the ability to select either high bay selection or low bay selection. Whenever you're mounted under 13 foot, you'll typically choose the low bay selection. This will often also be used outdoors whenever you're mounting around a building perimeter or within a parking garage or this sort of thing. If you're doing a high bay warehouse, then you would choose the high bay mode. It also, all of them ship with a insert shield that you can customize the coverage pattern with. And within the app, you can also increase and decrease the sensitivity in the area to meet your needs. The main applications, this is a ceiling mount or fixture mount sensor. You can control building perimeters, parking garages, indoor wet locations, washdown areas, data centers, storage facilities, warehouses, distribution centers, cold storage. These are things that in the past we were unable to accomplish, and is the reason that we've brought this device into the line. Here's an example of a parking garage. In the parking garage, you can see we have multiple zones set up. We use our DCS controller to control each one of those zones, and if someone comes into that space, then the lights would go high or low or on or off. That's one of the things within the DCS that we have the ability to add is the ability for time clock features. I would also mention that all of the sensors also have a photocell built into them, so we can also do daylighting as needed. In some jurisdictions, you're going to be required to do daylighting even in the parking garages, and you can accomplish this with our DCS controller and these sensors. All of the sensors are also able to be integrated in with a building management system. And the temperature rating is down to -40 degrees. So we can use it in many different locations throughout the country and also within, for example, freezer spaces, this sort of thing. Here's another example of the IS 3360 within a warehouse. So again, it's selectable in the app, whether it's high bay or low bay with the 3360. So if this is a low bay warehouse, you would choose the low bay selection. If it's a high bay warehouse, you would choose the high bay selection. Notice also within this drawing, we have 3360s in the open areas, but within the aisle spaces, we have the IS 345s because they're specifically designed for the aisles. Here's another example of a 3360, and this is for cold storage. In the past, we had no solution for cold storage because you often have the requirement, one, for the temperature, but also it is a wet environment. These are all wet location rated, and again, good down to -40 degrees. So the cold storage facilities, whether they're just cool or if they're freezer spaces, we now have a solution for these. In the past, people haven't been sending these type projects, and now please send us all of these types of projects. Again, we can also integrate in with a building management system. Whenever you're using the DCS Connect, it has the ability to communicate all of the BACnet objects back to your building management systems. The IS 3180, this is the one that is a wall mount device. It has some unique characteristics that the others don't have. Notice this actually has two lenses printed on it. It has a long range lens and a short range lens. And additionally, you can change the coverage pattern by sliding the lens up and down. There's little markings on the side, and within the instruction manual, you'll see what the coverage pattern is for each of those little markings. It's adjustable from 54 feet down to 18 foot. If you need to have an even smaller coverage pattern, it also ships with some plastic inserts that go underneath the lens, so you don't have to worry about water collecting or anything like this. It goes underneath the lens, and then you can select a very specific area that you want to cover with the 3180. I predominantly see this being used in building perimeters, but also in parking structures, maybe gymnasiums, this sort of thing. Even airplane hangars. That's often been a request because if someone is underneath the airplane, if you have a sensor on the ceiling, it can't see them. So you would mount sensors around the perimeter so that it can look underneath the airplanes. Here's an example of a building perimeter. This is a fast food restaurant example, but it could be many other things. The request here initially was that in many jurisdictions during one part of the evening, it's required that you would go high-low, and then after a certain period of time in the night, for example, after close of business hours, then you would either turn the lights off or turn them full on and back off again. You can use the logic that's built within the DCS controller to create those sequence of operations so that you can have your high-low, partial off controls, for example, during one time of day, and then on-off or just simply off during another part of the night. And then in the morning, again, it's often required that you would turn the lights back on at a low level and then go high-low again until the sun comes up. We can now accomplish all of those things. And again, the IS 3180 also has photocell built within it. So it's not just a motion detector, but also has the photocell. The IS 345 and the IS 345 HB. The IS 345 is intended for low bay applications. It's good up to 13-foot mounting height. The IS 345 HB is for high bay aisles, and it's good from 14 to 50-foot mounting height. In the manual, we put at 40, but then we retested at 50, and it works fabulously. This is predominantly intended for warehouse aisles. You can also use it on building perimeters, indoor wet locations, washdown areas, cold storage facilities, just plain storage facilities, and distribution centers. Here's an application example of the IS 345 in a data center. Data centers have been somewhat difficult for us to do in the past. Now we have a very good solution for this. Within the data centers, there are hot aisles and cold aisles, and there's a lot of airflow. You can't use an ultrasonic or a dual tech sensor in the data centers because of the amount of airflow. It causes them to false trigger. These are infrared sensors. They have 2 pyros in them. That means that they have 2 sensors built into them. One looks one direction down the aisle and the other the opposite direction down the aisle, so you have very good coverage. Additionally, notice that in some of these areas, the sensor is only looking in one direction. It's because all of the sensors ship with that plastic insert that fits underneath the lens. So you can have it only look in one direction if you only need an aisle starter. So in this example, this sensor in the middle of the aisle would control only that aisle, and the sensors that are at the beginnings of the aisle would only control their aisles. And if someone were to walk down the center aisle, it would not trip all of the other aisles in the data center. Again, these are all good down to -40 degrees, but in a data center, you also have to think of the high end temperature, and the sensors work all the way up to 158 degrees Fahrenheit, which is important in your data center spaces also. We wanted to introduce you to all of these new sensors and specifically point at the new applications that we're able to achieve. And we hope that you get a lot out of this and will send us the projects that in the past we haven't been able to see, and that we can move forward and be very successful with the IS series and the wet location photo sensor.
Thanks everybody for joining us for this micro webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to anyone on our sales team, and have a good day.
Thank you.